Story 1. I am successful. I got up this morning, dressed myself, and made it to work. That is the extent of what you can expect from me right now. Story 2. Pretty miserable. Sober and lonely, with nothing to look forward to. I hope that one of these nights I fall asleep and never wake up, but I doubt it. Story 3. I ended last year with my wife at the emergency room on Christmas Eve, feeling stuck in my job. This year, my wife and I have regained control of our health. She received a substantial raise, and I finally found a new job that I start in 2 weeks, which also comes with a raise. We have not been to the emergency room the whole year and are feeling more financially free than ever, going wherever we can whenever we can. 2 of my friends and my little brother all split from their long-term girlfriends in March, and they are also reclaiming their lives. My little brother finally had his gallbladder removed, although it left him $7,000 in debt. He is the healthiest I have ever seen him. He was starting to look ghastly and had been dealing with reinfections in his gallbladder for years. So far, 2025 has felt like a rebuilding year, a year of new beginnings. It's not that things have changed drastically, but my loved ones and I are reclaiming time and energy. And I believe that by the end of the year, we will all be in even better positions in life. Story 4. To be honest, it's pretty amazing. I have a 6-month-old son, and he is such a cool little guy. I have a new job, built a garage at home, and I am getting it set up to be my little man cave. I know many people are going through a tough time right now, so I'm just trying to treat everyone I meet with kindness. Story 5. I met the most amazing woman. Right away, we hit it off, chatting like an old couple within half an hour of knowing each other. She has a smile and laugh that makes me melt. Her eyes and the way she looks at you can make the whole world go quiet for a moment. She also has a boyfriend. I'm dead inside. Story 6. I thought I knew what rock bottom looked like, but this is the lowest I've been. It started with a trip to my loved one's country to meet his family. We began planning our elopement for a year later, but then my severely abusive mother died after a short battle with motor neuron disease, which sent me spiraling. My loved one broke up with me 2 days after she died. I experienced a psychosis, and now I'm about to be homeless after he declared he was moving out 2 weeks before a new 12-month lease was signed. I am also on forced unpaid leave from work for 8 weeks while trying to manage my deceased mother's estate because, out of her 6 children and 3 living siblings, I'm the only one with free time and no life besides my 2 dogs at the moment. Additionally, I was just diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder due to my abusive mother. So yes, I am struggling this year. Story 7. I have been to the emergency room twice. I was discharged from my last visit 3 hours ago. So, I don't know, it was pretty eventful, I guess. Story 8. Work, life, and family are great. However, my social circle has shrunk to the point where I need to make new friends, and that is challenging for many reasons. I feel blessed, but I lack support. Story 9. I'm feeling overwhelmed and extremely stressed due to work. I'm struggling to balance 2 jobs while also dealing with some back issues. I recently learned that the girl I really wanted to be engaged to is with someone else. The situation has been difficult, and I even found myself on suicide watch after expressing my frustration about my back problems. Story 10. I'm feeling pretty bad, to be honest. I got a job in February working at another factory, even though I promised myself after my last job that I would never do this type of work again. But here I am, working all day. I look terrible and feel even worse. I'm still a virgin at 20 with no friends. All I do is go to work, go home, eat, scroll, and sleep. It's a cycle that feels like it's draining me a little more every day. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I really hate this. Story 11. My 2025 has been the toughest year I've experienced in my 28 years. I really hope this is the lowest point for me. I was close to facing poverty after having been comfortably middle class. I understand that many others have it worse, but this has been a challenging time for me. I was struggling with market trends, family issues, health concerns, and more. Story 12. I feel terrible at 18 years old, about to turn 19 in graduate high school. I honestly don't care about the joy of graduating. I know it's a significant milestone, but I don't feel any happiness about it. With my birthday approaching and graduation around the corner, I might be experiencing depression. Regardless, this situation is difficult. Story 13. I got a new apartment in the city where most of my friends and some family are based. After 8 years of being isolated, I can almost breathe again. I just need to unpack boxes. Story 14. I doubled my salary, made good progress on my hobbies, and enjoyed travel. But I still feel the most miserable and soulless I have ever been. Story 15. I feel really lonely. I'm watching myself slowly lose all my social skills, even though it is completely uncharacteristic of me. I think it might be a maturity thing as well. I can't tolerate small talk or insincere conversations that feel like a waste of time and mental energy. Honestly, if I were a man and born centuries earlier, I probably would have been the type to hang out with Diogenes or some of the other thinkers. Story 16. I spent 3 months in the hospital and missed Christmas. I have just returned to work and am waiting for physiotherapy exercise classes. I was planning to learn to drive. Story 17. I have been working overtime, so I am not saving money like I used to. My back hurts consistently to the point that it is causing discomfort. Other than that, everything is all right. Story 18. I lost my dad at an early age and now I'm dealing with everything. I have a wonderful flat, but I'm sharing it with my lovely son and my unfaithful wife. She actually planned to meet her lover on Tuesday after a meal, intending to betray me in my own bed while I'm working. I vented about it today, so if you want to understand my difficult semester, feel free to explore. Story 19. Honestly, I've had much worse years. At least I have my wife, a solid job, a nice apartment, and a cute cat. I'm living the dream, really. I just wish the world wasn't currently in disarray and my country didn't have an undesirable leader. Story 20. I started with the flu, then my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I just received a diagnosis of diabetes. Combined with the overall challenges of the world, things are not great. I could really use some good news soon. Story 21. I have never been as close to ending it as I am now. I have a foolproof plan. I just need to update the letters and get my affairs in order. Story 22. Pretty good. My new job is starting to feel right. My relationship is going strong, and I am beginning to see a light at the end of the tunnel with my finances. I should be free of debt in about 2 months. I just need to motivate myself to focus on my personal project. Story 23. It started off difficult and challenging. I had no secure job and had just broken up with my girlfriend of 3 years, only to find out she moved on in less than 2 months to another serious relationship. I was drowning in debt and feeling severely depressed. Now, I have a well-paying job with a short commute. I have learned a lot about myself and am spending more time with loved ones and a family that is no longer estranged. I pushed through my darkest hours on my own, but also learned to accept help, which made all the difference. Story 24. I broke my ankles while doing sports, which required surgery. I missed a few opportunities because of it and have become quite isolated. After a good period of losing weight, I am starting to put it back on, which I attribute to my ankle. I usually exercise over 9 times a week, including multiple sessions weekly, so even though I've reduced my eating, it's still not sufficient. My ankle is healing, but it's taking time. I dislike being inactive, but there isn't much else I can do. I've been playing games, catching up on shows, and looking for work. Story 25. It's among my top 3 worst years. I lost my job and family members are going through mental health struggles. I feel lonely and behind in life. However, I am healthy and my family is healthy, so I focus on the positives. Story 26. I lost my job just before Christmas, and I can't find another one no matter how hard I try. In the middle of this, my cat got sick, too ill for anything to be done about it, as he was 18 years old and had kidney problems. I went into debt to take him to the veterinarian, have him euthanized, and cremated. At the same time, my niece and her partner decided to make my life difficult for reasons only known to them. I hadn't spoken to anyone in my family for roughly 3 years when the harassment started, and her mother is denying the evidence. Story 27. It has been a difficult year so far, and it's not even halfway through. I am in deeper debt and have nearly reached my maximum out-of-pocket spending for medical care this year. I had to pay an additional $560 to the dentist for services not covered by insurance. A woman sideswiped my car, and I just retrieved it from the repair shop. It is now two different shades since the person matching the color was having a challenging day. I work in education and have had to manage the ongoing threats from the government. I must wait to see if any funds can be utilized, and we are losing staff. My car insurance increased even though I didn't have any claims, while my income remains stagnant. I hope we receive raises this year, but they will likely only be around 1 or 2%, which is far below the rising cost of living that has persisted for many years. I hope the fates have turned their attention to someone else now. I'm glad to hear some people are doing better. Story 28. I don't know. I turned 25, work is stressful, and I have lonely weekends. There is no love life or excitement. I take photos and sometimes draw portraits. I have started to appreciate quiet moments more. Nothing else. Story 29. I just got punched in the face by a homeless man, which required stitches, and I'm on the verge of getting fired from my job. Other than that, it's been fantastic. Story 30. Pretty good. I've been getting sinus infections, but I also continued my new job and am staying strong in my long-distance relationship with my girlfriend. I visited her earlier this month, and it was really sweet. I can't wait for summer. Story 31. I have been single for 2 years, and I hope this is going to be the year, but I haven't seen any signs yet. I have been focusing on my fitness since I have a lot of free time after work, and I am seeing real progress. I might have a six-pack soon. Story 32. Legit, this has been the worst year of my life. I have wished for death more times this year than I ever have before. Life is pain, suffering, and constant misery. Story 33. I started out with a difficult situation when a snowplow totaled my car, which had 2 payments remaining. I used my savings to purchase an older vehicle while I saved for a new one. I also utilized my insurance payout to eliminate all my debt and put the remaining amount toward getting a new bike, as I love riding more than anything. In December, I met a woman and we began dating in April. It has been going great, and honestly, life has been looking much better since 2023. Story 34. Good morning. Finals are ending this week. I have summer classes starting in June, and I am going on a university trip in July, so I look forward to that. Story 35. I was reprimanded for inappropriate footwear at work because I put on my gym shoes after a child got sick on my previous pair. Story 36. The girl I love currently needs distance, and I just don't know how to deal with it. I'm just a person who needs closeness. Story 37. I was headhunted for a job that would have advanced my career by 10 years and doubled my salary. The company I currently work for prevented me from accepting it due to a restraint of trade clause in my contract. They promised to increase my salary somewhat as compensation, but that has not happened despite numerous inquiries. The search for other work has led to a few opportunities, but none offer a significant enough pay increase to make it worthwhile. It has been a challenging year so far. Story 38. Lonely, broke, and lost. I found out my dad has cancer. My car is on the brink. I have had very few wins so far, but I am still looking ahead to the road to come. I just have to go through it. Story 39. If I consider what is happening in the world, it is concerning. If I reflect on my life, it feels like it is passing quickly. It seems like I fell asleep in February and have just woken up. Story 40. Well, I got fired, reinstated according to a court order, threatened to get fired again after a court overturned the order, but for some reason the government wanted me back. I started working again and am now facing the possibility of a layoff because who knows at this point. So, not great. Story 41. Pretty well, aside from the individual in the White House. Health is good, and the same goes for my wife. Work is going well, and I have a little over 2 years until retirement. The kids are doing well in life. I am planning a sailing trip to Croatia for early July. For those of you who are struggling 25 years ago, life was difficult for us as well. We were barely scraping by. Every day was a struggle, but step by step we got through it. Do the little things consistently day after day, and over time it gets better. Promise. Story 42. I have been playing paintball and drinking beer. My knees hurt and I have gained about 50 pounds. The medication is working. I feel saved, so it has been amazing. Thank you, God. Story 43. A long-term client of the company I work for, which pays my salary, has decided to end the contract to place a political associate in my position. I am currently in limbo while my boss tries to find new clients to replace that one. Story 44. My anxiety about school not going well, despite being involved this year, has been overwhelming. I feel my heart in my throat and cannot rest properly. Story 45. I found the love of my life. It is very good. Downside. I have to study a lot as a law student, but I find it challenging, as we want to spend time together. Story 46. It has been very stressful, but better than last year, I guess. On one hand, I am no longer drinking regularly, which is a benefit. On the other hand, I am working at a job that is even worse, and my inability to control my emotions has made me incredibly angry at myself and fearful about how I will handle my career in the future. Overall, this year has been much more stressful than last year, but otherwise quite similar, except for the absence of hangovers and a couple of rounds of severe alcohol withdrawals that left me bedridden for a week. Story 47. I started learning about the new brain-computer interface programming that everyone is discussing. After 3 neural crashes, I still can't get my coffee maker to understand that hot does not mean surface of the sun temperature. Story 48. Not too bad, just progressing steadily. I started collecting Pokemon cards, which is slightly healthier than gambling. Story 49. Horrible, but it made me realize that I truly need help as soon as possible. The psychiatric ward is actually beneficial for me at this moment. Story 50. I have plans. About 30% of those came to fruition. I hope to pick up the pace for the remainder of the year. Story 51. I'm feeling good but a bit stressed. I've gained weight since last year, and I'm happily married. I'm currently facing challenges with wanting a baby, as I've always been opposed to the idea. I really wish the hormonal changes would settle down. Story 52. I started the year feeling cheated by someone with narcissistic tendencies. It has been the most miserable time, and I haven't had a single day where I felt good. So far, this has been the worst year of my life, filled with nothing but negativity. Story 53. The more I explore, the more I uncover an unhealed trauma that makes things difficult. However, I also find healing. So far, 2025 has been both challenging and healing at the same time. Story 54. I got kicked out of the only place I considered safe in January and had to move back to my parents' house. I did not have any privacy. I slept on a broken couch in the living room for some time. Then I slept on a bed in the living room that hurt my back. My cat was also kicked out with me, and because my mother's cats had fleas and there were bugs everywhere, his skin condition flared up. I now pay $40 to $80 a month for his diet. Thankfully, his condition has improved since then. Online controversies led some people to stalk me because of an opinion I expressed that went against their group. This situation cleared up quickly but heightened my paranoia. Eventually, I decided to ask a social worker for help regarding my living situation. This has been sorted out, but I still have to go back to my parents' place every now and then. I found out I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in 2022, and no one informed me despite my asking multiple times if I had it. I keep getting left out of family activities. This past Mother's Day, we planned to take my mom to the zoo for a giraffe encounter. However, I was expected to organize it without being informed until the last minute. When I was finally notified, I was busy and said I would handle it later. I then discovered that my dad had already paid for the tickets. I learned this because I told my brother how much he needed to pay on the day of the event. My dad only bought 5 tickets because he thought I wasn't going due to the cost. Thankfully, after messaging him, I ended up going to the zoo with them, and my mom was extremely happy. The worst part of that day, aside from the flashbacks to other past events, was that I was excited to see fennec foxes, only to find out they hadn't been there since 2023. The website indicated they were available, but I did manage to get 3 fennec fox plushies. Soon after, During my last visit to my parents, my grandfather started showing signs of a stroke. He is the only grandparent I feel close to. My dad chose to ignore the symptoms, and he still hasn't seen a doctor. He will tomorrow, though. There are probably other things I've forgotten, but right now, things have calmed down except for that last issue. Story 55. Incredible. I have recovered from my eating disorder, and I am relieved to be diagnosed with autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I am also in my first wonderful relationship. Story 56. I am about to be unemployed for the summer. I am cutting off financial aid to a long-term friend who has drained me as I supported them through their efforts to obtain disability benefits. They will likely end up homeless and may take drastic measures. They literally cannot carry any of their belongings. My girlfriend wants to discuss having children, but I am unsure about our compatibility in that regard. She is wonderful, and I hate that I cannot find the common interests I feel we need to succeed in a more committed relationship. Oddly, this year is not that bad, except for the former president messing up the finances I wanted to use to buy a house eventually. I would have already made that purchase if it were not for my friend. It has been a strange year, and I might be numb to some of it. Story 57. I generated 2.3 years worth of net income from my job and investments in 2 to 3 days, and I am still seeing returns. Overall, it's not amazing, but it's not bad either. Story 58. Worse than last year, I quit my job for a break, which resulted in a disrupted routine. This meant no exercise, and as a result, I gained weight again. This is why I feel shy about going out in public and have limited contact with the outside world. Should I keep going? You get the point. Story 59. My husband has finally agreed to a separation, and we have solicitors. The year 2025 is going to be rough, but 2026 will be better. Story 60. I am trying to stay positive. I proposed to my girlfriend, and she said yes. However, I am feeling stuck in a job that I no longer want. I have been interviewing and searching for a new job. Hopefully, I will receive an offer from the current opportunities. Story 61. Pretty good. My grades are good, and I'm feeling much fresher than I did last year. I am almost halfway done. Let's hope the next half is just as good, if not better. Story 62. I feel stuck and unable to move on from my ex. I prepared for an exam but was unable to pass it. I am trying to get an internship as a full-stack developer, and it's been tough. I've had only one interview in 1.5 months of job searching. Story 63. Considering we haven't blinked ourselves into extinction yet or had to fight a horde of hungry zombies just to get the morning paper, I say things aren't that bad. I am, of course, taking my daily dose of coping mechanisms because without them, I think I would be constantly screaming, "We are all going to die," on repeat for the rest of my days. Story 64. I left my unfaithful fiancé and mother of my children in February. I have my kids almost full-time now. I started stand-up comedy and it's going well. I am exercising regularly and getting the fittest I have been in years. It's been quite interesting, to say the least. Story 65. I have twin boys who had a brief stay in the neonatal intensive care unit, and now my toddler has brought home a cold. One of the twins is congested and just wants to be held. They are 10 days old, and I have been up with him all night. The newborn stage can be overwhelming. Story 66. Fantastic. Travel to Slovenia for 2 months. We are walking the Camino Francis from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Finisterre. 400 kilometers completed and about 560 kilometers to go. I am very excited about this long-distance hike. I wish you all a great day. Story 67. Definitely the worst year of my life so far, with everything going wrong. I feel like I am about to have a mental breakdown. Story 68. I am excited about the Nintendo Switch 2 and its future. I also just tested positive for COVID-19. However, I am really enjoying Fantasy Life I have more time to play that today since I am taking a day off from work. Story 69. Pretty bad. The worst part is I keep thinking I've made progress on the healing journey, and then, out of nowhere, I end up crying in the middle of the night, wondering why this feeling won't go away. I also need a job desperately. Story 70. At the beginning of 2025, I saw traditional memes in the spirit of hopes for the new year versus the challenges the year will bring. And then I decided, no, for me, this year will really be great. As you can see, that's how it turned out. From the outside, not much has changed, but spiritually, I am on a completely different level. I began to devote more time to sports. If before it was sluggish training with 10-kilogram dumbbells, since the beginning of the year, I have already ordered new 25-kilogram ones. For the last week, I have been going to the gym and running every morning. It is a wonderful feeling. Maybe I am exaggerating, but not long ago, I also realized that dreams in our lives can be anything. Before, I didn't know what to live for and what to strive for. But now I have answers to all these questions, and this gives me excellent motivation to move forward and improve. I want to become a graphic designer, then an interior designer, move from Russia to Texas, go to Japan a couple of times, which I have dreamed about since childhood, and if I'm lucky, find the love of my life there. Then, I hope to lead an ideal life as a loving husband who can protect his family. Yes, maybe I've set my sights too high, but on the other hand, I am only 19 years old, and I still have plenty of time. I have already started moving towards my goal. No one asked me, but in the end, I will give everyone advice. No matter what situation you are in, never give up. Think about your desires and never be afraid to dream, because only you can pursue them. Story 71. Pretty great. I had my first experience with many social events and improvements at the gym. Could be better. I wish college didn't end this fast. Story 72. January 2025. Lost job. February. Applied for medical assistance. Denied. March. Got in a T-bone accident and was injured. Car totaled. I can't afford a new car while working part-time. April. Running out of savings. May. Waiting for good news. This too shall pass, and God will provide. That's my 2025. Story 73. I feel overwhelmed. People only reach out to me when they need something, and I've jokingly considered changing my name back to my original name before I was adopted. I have 3 ruptured discs, yet everyone expects me to lift heavy objects. My family's health is declining, and there is no cure for one of them. I am stuck in the worst job I've ever had, and I don't even receive rejection emails. I'm mentally and physically exhausted with no end in sight. Story 74. I broke up and am in debt. I am working and currently not in a relationship. I hope that in a few years, I will look back at this moment to share my comeback story. Story 75. My favorite YouTuber posted his last video on Saturday. It was going fine until now. It's all over. Story 76. Started out decent, but then it became difficult. I went from graduating high school to potentially experiencing a stroke due to the pain I am feeling. Story 77. I have been sick 3 times since the year started. The first time was norovirus, the second time was influenza just a week after the first illness, and the most recent was a cold about a month ago. It was supposed to be the semester I finally graduate from college, but sadly, I live in a town filled with harmful individuals who would rather wage war on someone for simply wanting to earn a degree and leave. My university intentionally blocked my access to the library after they realized that closing early on days when they weren't supposed to and intentionally making me sick twice was not enough to stop me from finishing college. Witnessing the lengths these individuals will go to in order to prevent someone who does not wish to harm others from getting an education has made me seriously reconsider whether I am willing to risk my life for a piece of paper when I could instead pursue a fully remote job, drop out, and escape. Is it really worth risking my life every time I have to go out in public? I have made the extremely difficult decision to drop out of college. I was so close to the finish line with only 6 courses left. I will likely never be able to afford the costs of reapplying if I decide to finish my degree in the future. In the meantime, I can only hope to escape to a safer place soon. If I don't, my chances of harm increase with each passing day. This situation is the result of years of feeling unwelcome, a struggle that dates back to summer 2020. Worst of all, the only realistic way I might return to college without it being a financial burden is if I were to win a significant lottery. Even then, would it truly be worth facing the same circumstances that put me here in the first place, especially with more at stake? These individuals have made it abundantly clear that they do not want me in this town, which is supposed to be known for its hospitality, nor at the university where I was enrolled. I don't want to be here either, and I hope these individuals do not see me when I make my escape. Since 2023 began, my entire life has changed for the worse. It is a miracle that I am even alive to share all of this. Story 78. I started out unemployed. My unemployment benefits ran out while I was waiting for work. I began working for a food delivery service and participating in medical studies, but it was only enough to keep me from going completely broke. I have recently started a new project, and I am receiving more calls for the next couple of months with a long-term project on the horizon later this year. It didn't start well, but things are beginning to look up for me personally. Overall, I can still see that we are all facing challenges. Story 79. We lost both our mothers 9 weeks apart. Our fathers were 8 weeks apart in 2020. We have taught ourselves to be anxious and worry about them, even though they are not here. The rebuilding process has begun. Story 80. Good. Could have been better or worse. I'm just glad that I can handle everything that's happening. Story 81. Oddly great. Work is going well with just the right amount to do and no stress. The company is thriving, and we have confirmation that we will be receiving bonuses. My friends are doing well. We see each other almost every Saturday for tabletop role-playing games. One of them is going to become a dad. My boyfriend's studies are going well, and he has connections in his field, so soon he will also be working and earning another paycheck. My parents are planning for retirement in a couple of years, so they are considering how to spend their upcoming free time. Our dog is eating well, sleeping well, and found a neat stick today on her way to daycare. Story 82. I have a test in 2 hours and I didn't study because I keep having existential crises about my life that I find very difficult. 2025 has so far been the worst. I feel overwhelmed, but I love my family too much to let them suffer. Story 83. I won another silver medal in boccia while volunteering at the store where I received the shield during boccia practice. Story 84. It was great until Friday. My wife left me, and my car broke down. We had just bought a house and enrolled my son in a private school, both significant steps for us. Story 85. Not great, to be honest. I feel like I was permanently spiritually dead in 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic began. Disappointments come every day when I wake up. I'm overwhelmed with both my academics and my future career due to the current job market situation. I have no partner and just a few friends who cannot always be by my side, which I understand. Anyway, everything just feels difficult. Story 86. We lost our house in the Palisades fire and have focused on therapy, meditation, and health as a result. I feel better than I did in all of 2024. I never would have asked for it, but it was exactly what I needed. Story 87. I am currently dealing with allergies and the spring air is affecting me. However, my 13-year-old, 6-pound fully blind dog wandered into the woods 7 days ago, and we found her alive yesterday. Story 88. My career is progressing well, which is encouraging. However, I am noticing the signs of aging in my parents, and I'm realizing how much older I am becoming, especially after experiencing 4 deaths this year. 2 colleagues, an uncle, and an old classmate. I am making the most of my time off, and it feels good. However, I wish I had someone to share it with. I want to make it a goal to spend more time with friends. Story 89. Pretty bad, but better than before. I have finally been diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression, and I am now on medication. I still feel very lonely and miserable, but I finally have hope that it will get better and that I will get out of this. Story 90. Fantastic. We had a new daughter in 2024. My wife and I love spending time with her and parenting. We also acquired a new house and are doing well financially. Work can be stressful at times, but we are very happy overall and look forward to our future. Story 91. It was going well until my mom had a stroke. Now my life revolves around caring for her. I love her and wouldn't think twice about dedicating my life to her care. However, my life has come to a sudden stop. Story 92. It was going well until a week ago when my partner of 12 years and I had several days of arguing. On Monday, she left with my children while I wasn't there and has not spoken to me since. I still haven't been able to talk to my children. So, to sum up, it's been difficult. Story 93. The horrors persist, but so do I, barely. Feels like I am fighting for my life. I knew it would be difficult on December 31st, 2024, and I was right. Cannot live, love, or laugh in these conditions. Story 94. I dislike working in a stressful environment. I just bought a new truck and house. My son is about to be born. Student loans are overwhelming, and I am now waiting for relief around 5:30 a.m. Story 95. I graduated high school and got into a highly competitive university with about 100,000 candidates each year. I am still in touch with my high school friends. Things are going well for me so far, but I am moving out for college. I hope I don't accidentally burn down the campus. Story 96. It has been a bit crazy. On January 2nd, I tripped during my morning walk for exercise, dislocated my shoulder, and shredded my rotator cuff. My car died, and I had to buy a used one at the end of January. On February 3rd, I had shoulder surgery to repair the damage from January 2nd. Then, I had to pay $3,000 in taxes due to an accounting error following my divorce in 2023. By mid-March, I had lost $11,000 just in maintaining my day-to-day expenses, not counting the costs of living. However, I am finally getting things under control financially. On the other hand, I have experienced significant personal growth and cannot believe how much better I feel about myself. So far, it has been a mix of losses and wins this year. Story 97. My father just died of metastatic cancer, which we only discovered on January 8th after one of the tumors in his brain caused him to fall. His last week was pure agony because the cancer had spread to his bones. My senior dog began having seizures, and the veterinarian believes there is an 80% chance it is brain cancer. However, the only way to confirm this is to spend $4,000 to $5,000 on an MRI, which I cannot justify given how terrible the economy is and the burial costs for my father that I had to cover. I had hoped to move, change jobs, or otherwise do something to improve my mental state. But with the current economy, I don't feel safe making any changes. At least the job I dislike pays relatively well, although every week I worry about being fired or replaced by artificial intelligence. Story 98. I am graduating this year and starting a much-needed medication again. Things have been uncertain, but I hope it brings positive outcomes. Story 99. I, along with several other hardworking, tax-paying migrants in the country where we work, have been labeled as cheap labor and a drain on the system, with very little evidence or numbers to support those claims. We have been used as pawns in political games between right-wing extremists and, sadly, even by a supposedly progressive government. All because the color of our skin and the color of our passports are different. Story 100. It could be better, but honestly, it is significantly better than the last few years. I have lost a significant amount of weight, obtained a decent paying job, and I have put myself out there for dating and making friends with mixed results. Story 101. My 2025 so far. I learned that quarterly taxes basically means 4 panic attacks on a calendar. I started a 10-minute daily ledger check and saved more receipts than therapy saved my sanity. Story 102. Each year of my life has been better than the last. Threads like this make me realize that it's unfortunately uncommon. Story 103. I have developed an anxiety and panic issue out of nowhere, and I am starting to wake up in fear. I have no idea what is wrong, but it does not feel like a mental issue. I am concerned that I may have a condition causing this. Story 104. I can't say I'm depressed because I don't have any reason to be, but I do feel that way. So I'm just fine. Story 105. I introduced a fun game this year where I get high and then face off against psychosis in a desperate attempt to stay in touch with reality. Story 106. I met some nice people this year, as I have been quite lonely for the past couple of years. I also got a job again, which I hadn't had for the past 2 years. The bad part is I found out I have severe anemia, which was unexpected. I didn't even know I had it, and it turns out it is severe. I'm going to get an iron infusion in a couple of days, so hopefully it will make me feel better. In a way, this is a good thing because I've probably had it for a while, and now I'm finally going to get it treated, so maybe I'll feel like a new person. Story 107. I have finally started selling my art full-time. Money is tight, but it's better than it was a couple of years ago. I lost 50 pounds over the last year, which I never thought I could do, and my progress continues into next year. I got engaged to the love of my life yesterday. Although I still struggle with mental health, I am handling things better every day. I have been sober from alcohol for 6 months, which I once thought was impossible. Wishing everyone a great year ahead. Story 108. It has been a really strong year. I received a raise at work, attended my first rap concert for one of my favorite artists, and followed my dream by flying to Japan. I have kept up with my body training, and I started learning the Japanese language. At this moment, I feel I have made good choices with my investments. The last 2 years were really difficult for me, but now I am once again taking control of my life and pursuing my dreams. Story 109. I started the year with the intention of improving my situation after my divorce. It's been a positive experience. I met 2 amazing people, a few less compatible ones, and made many friends through a singles group. I've rekindled my love for music, playing bass and collecting vinyl. I have a vacation planned with my son in 2 weeks. Life is good right now. Story 110. Similar to previous years, there have been ups and downs. However, I made a career shift this year at nearly 40. I obtained an office administration certification, and within 4 months at this new company, I will be earning more per hour than I ever did at my previous job, where I spent 6 or 7 years. My partner is a bit disappointed that he only out-earned me for a couple of months, but now we can pay all the bills and save without as much stress. Story 111. Life is difficult right now. My relationship has ended, I am unemployed, and my car is in poor condition. My mental health is suffering, so 2025 is not off to a great start. Story 112. It's been a tough year financially, stressful, and I have been sick more than any year before. However, I have a roof over my head, food to eat, and a job. My kids are healthy and safe. I can't ask for more. Story 113. I had to have another tooth pulled and found out I'm now allergic to amoxicillin. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Fibromyalgia flare-ups and spring allergies have left me feeling exhausted. I realize my trauma is like nesting dolls, where there is always more underneath, and my adult child has stopped talking to me. However, I am really enjoying cooking, so I have that going for me, which is nice. Story 114. I do not know. It is uncertain at this time. I spent most of the period searching for jobs and waiting for interview results. I did accept a job offer, which is a positive development. Story 115. Honestly, I met a girl who was mature and understanding. I couldn't imagine living the life I am now compared to last December. Life is pretty good lately. Story 116. I am still healthy, have a roof over my head, food to eat, and clothes to wear. Everything is fine, and I am grateful for it. Story 117. I dislike this year. Last year around this time, I was in a relationship which was not approved, but I didn't know that yet, so I was happy. I was training to become a butcher, and I thought I would have a stable, decent job, and I was content. Everything changed as soon as 2025 started. Nothing works. Nothing satisfies like it used to. I'm trying, but even after doing everything I needed to do to improve my situation, nothing makes me as happy as I was when I had that relationship. Life is difficult. I didn't ask for much. I just wanted the relationship to continue and a stable job, and I would have been set. Story 118. I am pleased to share that I have discovered I am neurodivergent, which explains many aspects of my life. Story 119. I was unemployed for 6 months by my own choice. Now that I am applying for jobs, it is no longer my choice. Story 120. My 2025 has been incredibly challenging. Since mid-February, my car was repossessed, my wife passed away, I lost my job, and I was evicted from the apartment my wife and I shared for nearly 5 years. I have moved to 3 cities in 2 weeks and am currently in a Salvation Army homeless shelter in Tyler, Texas, trying to rebuild my life. Story 121, horrible. Started off great, but I am losing myself in a new relationship. I have never felt hopeless before, but I think I am slowly coming back. Story 122, giant disaster. I am facing eviction and cannot get approved for a new place due to a previous roommate situation that has me struggling. It has been challenging. Story 123. My health has deteriorated, but I recently reconnected with someone from my past, which has improved my daily life, especially since I am currently bedridden. Story 124. In January, I got the car I have been wanting for over 6 years, a Subaru Forester Sport, because my old car was on its last leg. I am not too excited about having a car payment again, but I am happy with my new vehicle. My job continues to take advantage of my role that pays more, but because I do not have that title, I do not receive the pay. I was under the impression that I was in line for a promotion, so I continued in this position, only to be turned down because I lacked confidence in the interview. The position was given to a young woman who would rather stand and talk to the supervisor all day than perform real work. My anxiety is high again, and it is hard to wake up and find motivation in the mornings. Story 125. Pretty chill so far. I am just trying to stay consistent with my goals and not let the year fly by too fast. Feels like January was last week. How is yours going? Story 126. Not bad. My wife and I are planning to have a child. She had to manage various medications, so we had to plan a lot around that. Our puppy has also been keeping us busy. Story 127. It's going well. I am becoming much more social, which is something I did not expect to happen. Story 128. Things are improving, yet I am feeling worse. I don't know if things will truly get better for me. Story 129. I am currently sick for the 3rd time, experiencing a chronic headache and neck pain for over 3 weeks. I feel constantly stressed due to accumulating work and having to cancel numerous planned events and outings with friends. I really hope the year will improve. Story 130. Went from being possibly the best year of my life to being the worst year of my life. Life isn't fair. Story 131. It's been absolutely awful. I've had nothing but bad news all year so far. The year started with my brother being diagnosed with a cancer that may kill him by the end of the year, and I haven't received much good news since. Can I please have a reset on this year? Seriously, I am feeling overwhelmed by everything that has happened. Story 132. Struggling to get groceries due to rising costs seems like a minor complaint after reading some of these. You know what? I'm doing all right, thanks for asking. Story 133. It's amazing. I got a new bike and I am hitting the gym again. Dark Souls Remastered is excellent. I am finally starting to love myself and I took over 20 photos today. I had a rough start, but everything is going well now that I have my bike. Story 134. I have incurred $3,800 in overdraft fees since January 1st. I visited a branch 30 minutes from my home, where I used to go when I lived just 3 minutes away in an apartment. A manager from a different branch was covering that day. With 25 years of experience at the bank, he successfully got all of my fees reversed. For context, I am a small business owner, and between 5 clients, we are owed around $10,000. One client is filing for bankruptcy, another recently buried his mother, one is out of the country, and 2 are still sending requests and will not pay until we complete the project, which is nearly done. Having 1 client unable to pay was manageable, but 3 clients in this situation is a significant issue. I managed to get out of the negative balance multiple times, but due to vendors automatically drafting payments, I ended up back where I started. Fortunately, I am in a better position now. I plan to use my connections to treat this manager and his family of 7 to a hot air balloon ride as a thank you. It won't cost me anything but time and a few phone calls, similar to what he did for me. Story 135. Great. I just got the job I have been trying to get for 7 years. It pays the most I have ever made, is easy, and I get along well with all my coworkers and supervisors. I am almost 40, and I feel like I have finally found the job I was meant to have. I can finally get out of debt and, in a few months, hopefully, have extra money to buy things for my loved ones and myself. It also has excellent benefits, so we can actually visit the doctor and dentist. I am very optimistic about the future. My hard work is paying off, and I am very happy for myself and my family. I can't wait to be able to go on vacations and attend concerts again. Story 136. I have made some progress. It took almost 6 months, but I was finally able to switch from night shift to day shift after being on nights for around 8 years. I involved enough people above my boss so that I could no longer be ignored. I essentially forced my boss's hand to allow me to move to days. Let's see how this goes. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.